Hello everyone and welcome to my first ever book haul. I've been doing some book shopping recently. Some of it has been pretty unintentional, or at least that's how it started, and then some of the other ones have just been circumstances arose. I bought some books. I've compiled them all right here for you. You can't even see some of them. And I'm going to now go through the haul, tell you why I bought them, that kind of thing. Nothing super crazy. Book hauls are not a new thing, but I thought since I have a whole chunk of books right now, which is not super common for me, I take that back. It's not uncommon for me to have a big chunk of books. I usually get my books kind of all at once, but then I sit and try to read through all of them before I buy more books. I'm pretty good about making myself do that. So it's not that frequent that I have like a chunk of books because I try to read as many as possible before I get more. But without further ado, let me catch my breath from hauling all these books around and then I'll start talking about what books I got. So the first chunk of books that kind of started this whole thing to begin with came from actually a teaching conference that I was at. I don't know if I've really talked about it. I probably have at this point, but I am a teacher. And so I got invited to go to a conference for teachers about using technology and stuff like that, which is a random place to get books. But they had partnered up with a local library to bring in and sell used books to raise funds for the library. And so they had a whole bunch of books there that you could shop through. They were all super cheap. I think it was $2 for paperbacks and $3 for hardbacks. So super cheap. I managed to find 5 that I thought were interesting. So let's get into them. First one is Shipbreaker. This is a book about a kid who lives, let's see, in the Gulf Coast region. And basically his job is to go and take old wrecked ships and strip them for useful metals. And then he finds a boat, there's some kind of thing. The reason I grabbed this book is because I'd totally forgotten about it until I saw the cover, and then it just triggered some memory deep down, and I've totally read this book before, but I cannot even really remember what happens. So I feel like I remember liking it. We will see if I still like it. I do plan on reading this at some point, but from what I remember, it was a really good book with some interesting characters and plot lines and stuff like that, and it just triggered some major memory and deja vu for me, and so I grabbed it. Okay, the next book that I grabbed from that library sale was Ready Player One. This one I just feel like is a classic that I should read at some point. I have seen the movie, so I'm doing it a little bit out of order of what I normally like to do, but I think at some point I would like to read it. It's just such a classic sci-fi book that it just feels like I need to. I really like the sci-fi genre, so it felt fitting. This is one that I think I would probably lend to a lot of people too, so I just grabbed it up as a good classic book to own. Alright, this one I actually had never seen anyone. This is And Then There Were Four by Nancy Werlin, maybe? I haven't seen this book anywhere. Maybe I'm living under a rock, I don't know. You tell me if this is a popular book. But it's a thriller book about kind of your classic high school students brought together, they become friends, and then based off of what it sounds like, that potentially their parents are trying to kill them. That's based off of what's the inside of the book, which I thought was a very interesting thing. I don't know if I feel like that's actually what's going to be happening because it's a thriller, and how often is what they kind of hint towards on the like blurb what actually happens in a thriller, but maybe, I don't know. It, well, be honest, I did look at Goodreads and I didn't have the greatest reviews, but I don't always tend to have the same opinions as general ratings on things, especially when it comes to like movies and stuff, so we'll see if that holds true for books. At the very least, it sounded interesting, so hopefully it's not like terrible. The next one that I got is actually one that I have seen all over, but I feel like I haven't seen it in a long time. I feel like this hit its peak and it's kind of not as popular anymore. I don't know if that's because it's not like the best book ever, or if everybody just kind of got over it and everybody's read it at this point, but it was We Were Liars. This one's also a mystery thriller book. The blurb on the back does not help at all with understanding what the plot is. So all I know is that something happens and it's in Massachusetts in the summer. And that people are lying. And that's about it. I'm honestly not 100% positive if this is actually a thriller, but I think it's supposed to be. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe I'm totally wrong and I'm going to be totally disappointed. I just know that I've seen this book around and it seems like it got a lot of hype for a while there. So I'm going to try it out. Then, ooh, the lighting is struggling. The last book that I got from that library sale was Rebel. This is the, I don't know if it's considered the fourth book. Is that what we're considering it? I don't know if it's like a fourth book or a spin-off, how you technically count that. But it is going along with the Legend trilogy. I think is what it's called. The first book is Legend, so I'm going with that. From my understanding, it's like 10 years after the fact. If you haven't read the trilogy, I won't spoil it, but the ending is controversial. I was highly unsatisfied with the ending of the trilogy. It made me pretty mad. I've never felt that strong of feelings about how a trilogy or how a book ended before, but I was not happy with the ending of that book. And then I found out there was a fourth book or a spin-off or something. From my understanding, this takes place like 10 years later, and I think it gives you like the closure that people were looking for. From what I read online like a year ago when I originally read it and was upset about the ending, a lot of people were also upset about the ending, and so she kind of wrote this book in response to everybody being mad. So I have been meaning to go and read it. I kind of had to take a break because I was just too emotionally invested and I couldn't handle going right into this book. But it's been like a year, so I will definitely be picking this one up probably sometime soonish to finally get some closure on those characters. That is everything that I got from that library sale. The next batch of books that I have, I think there's 6 of them. Yes, 6. Or from the thrift store. So we were at DI, if you guys don't know what DI is, it is a thrift store essentially, and they have a book section. I'll be honest, RDI doesn't have the best book section, but I did manage to find some really good ones this time, so I kind of lucked out. The first 2 that I got were actually the first 2 in the Maze Runners series. Trilogy? Series? I think it's just a trilogy. I don't know how there wasn't the 3rd book there. Either somebody decided to just donate the first 2 or had only bought the first 2 or something. I don't know, but I need to find the 3rd one. But these were both $1, so gotta love thrift stores. But again, kind of similar to Ready Player One, these are just classic books that I feel like I need to read at some point. My husband was like, grab those, I will read those too. So both of us would probably be reading these. These are ones that I would definitely loan out to like my brothers and stuff like that. So that's the Maze Runner. Book 1, and then book 2 is the Scorch Trials. So I don't know a ton about this. I haven't seen the movies ever, so this is one where I could read the books if I really like the books, and maybe I'll go watch the movie, see what I think. So this could be a fun world to get myself into. The next book that I got is Chasing Vermeer, also from the thrift store. This one's definitely more of like a kid's middle grade book. It's also really heavy for being like a tiny paperback book. This one we pretty much just read the back and I thought it was interesting. It's about a couple of kids who somehow end up involved in the theft, of Vermeer paintings, except they're trying to solve it. They're not like involved in the stealing. They're trying to like help solve it. And the last thing is, can they decipher a crime that has left even the FBI baffled? So it's like a kid's mystery book, which is one of my favorite types of books. So I grabbed that one because it looked interesting. The next one that I got is And Then You Die, which the cover caught my attention first. That is quite the title. But this one looks like it's also kind of a mystery, maybe, I don't think it's quite on the thriller, but it's about a cop who is kind of on not protective custody because it doesn't seem like anyone's watching him, but he's off trying to hide because he's supposed to testify in a trial for a mafia boss, but then somebody ends up dead at the place that he is hiding out, and he thinks it maybe is the mafia that have found him. So that's And Then You Die. Again, just caught my eye because of the cover and the title. It's also quite small, so this would be a good quick read in the midst of all of the fantasy that I have going on right now. The next one is the cutest little tiniest book. It is The Westing Game. This one my husband saw. He's read it before. That sounded like not the correct English. He's read it. That's right. But it's just a tiny little mystery thriller. It basically sounds like the exact same plot as the Inheritance game. This one's obviously older, so I would love to know if the Inheritance game is based off of this. Curious? I don't know. Maybe it's way different than the Inheritance game. It just has the same basic premise. Rich guy leaves his fortune to a stranger and everybody's trying to figure out why. It's an old eccentric billionaire that likes to play games. Basically the same thing. The only thing that seems maybe like the main difference here is that on the back it says that the person he leaves his will to is a potential murderer. So that's probably the twist that makes it different, and I'm really interested to see where this goes. I loved the Inheritance game trilogy, so I would love to read another book with a similar plot. This one's also so tiny. It's, how many pages is this? Only 179 pages. So, oh no, slightly more, 182. That's also just like a tiny book. So this will be another fun, quick read. The last one that I got from the thrift store is The Thief Lord. This one also caught my eye, mostly just because of the cover. And then I read the back and it sounded interesting. Basically, it's about a couple of orphans who meet up with this boy who calls himself Thief Lord. It's underground or underworld Venice, and then all of a sudden they get thrown into this world of magic and mystery and stuff like that. So it's all about like destiny and magic and kids and stuff like that. So it's also like almost like the feeling of like those padded kids books, and it's just such a pretty cover. Like, look at that, such pretty colors and stuff. So this one also, again, just cover, read the blurb on the back, thought it sounded interesting. And that is all 6 books that I got from the thrift store, so that brings us up to a total of 11. But we're not quite done. The next thing that I ordered is actually for another video that I'm filming of rereading my favorite childhood books, or like my childhood favorite books. And one of those books that I wanted to read was, the name of this book is Secret. But while I was at it, I just went ahead and bought the whole box set. This was one of my favorite series as a kid. If you haven't read this, this is the Secret series by Pseudonymous Bosch. It's basically about a couple of kids, a magician goes missing, they go on this crazy hunt to try and track down the missing magician. It's all like about hunting for missing people, there's secret societies, stuff like that. It's a really fun book series, and I'm excited to reread it. This is the only books that I ended up buying new, mostly because it was cheaper to just buy the whole box set on Amazon than to try and get them all thrifted or secondhand. Went ahead and got that. They also have super fun covers. Let's see if I can get one out of the box. But that's the first cover. They're all just super magical, mystical. So the first one's, the name of this book is Secret. Then if you're reading this, it's too late. This book is not good for you. This isn't what it looks like, and you have to stop this. So that's the 5 books in the Secret series. My brother already seems intrigued in them, so maybe he'll read them too. But that's the next set of 5 books that I got. And then the last books that I got were actually from Thrift Books. I had a free book credit. If you are a teacher, or if you know anyone that's a teacher, the teacher deal on Thrift Books is really awesome. You earn points a lot quicker than you normally would with just like a normal account. And if you're buying books, and every 5th book is free, I think. I think that's how it works. Every 5th book is free. But honestly, the points adds up so much that you qualify for free books almost every time I buy stuff. So I have yet to actually use the get the 5th book free deal, because every time I've qualified for a new free book, I already had a free book and it won't let you stack the promotions. But that being said, I did have a free book credit that was going to expire, so I decided to go and get some books. They both came today, so let's go ahead and open these packages up. It always stresses me out opening book packages because I don't want to cut the book. Alright, this one is also for the same video of rereading my childhood favorite books, and that is Theodosia and the Serpents of Chaos. This is part of the Theodosia Throckmorton series. There's several books. I just got the first one because I found it on Thrift Books. But basically this whole series is about a little girl whose parents are the curators at an Egyptian history museum, but then she gets kind of connected into the magic side of it, and it's all about like Egyptian mythology and the different gods. And she goes on to solve all these mysteries and things having to do with black magic. And it's another one kind of about like magical cults and things like that. And it's just this little girl who lives in a museum and is dealing with Egyptian gods. But it's really fun. I think there's also a series of it, like a TV series. I can't remember who made it. I think it's relatively recent. I don't actually even know if it's out yet, but I will potentially be watching that if I get back into the series. So this isn't one that I'm excited to see if I like it as much as I did when I was a kid, which is the whole point of the other video, which will probably come out after this fall. So be looking forward for that. All right, package number 2. Oh, that one opened way easier. All right, we've got 2 books. The last 2 books. First is Children of Dune. This is book number 3. This one is a little beat up, but that's alright. That's what you get when you get 5 books secondhand, right? I got the second book. I haven't read it yet. My husband's part of the way through the second book. We've both read the first book. So far he's liking the second book enough that I figured I'd just go ahead and get the third one when I saw it. This is the book I got with my free credit. And we just like the Dune series. Like I said, I'm a big fan of sci-fi, and they just look so pretty. I love the covers, so this will be a good addition to my bookshelf, even just look-wise. And then the last and final book that I got from Thrift Books is Fablehaven. I've been trying to, I've just been in a really big mood to read books meant for younger audiences, obviously, if you couldn't tell by the books that I chose. Maybe it's because I spent all day with middle schoolers. Maybe it's just because, I don't know. But I never read Fablehaven as a kid. This is a big series that I missed, and that's another video I did that I had, was to go and reread some of the big series that were huge when I was a kid that I missed, because I had a big issue where if a book series was popular, I wouldn't read it, because not because I was like, oh, I'm too cool to read popular books, but because it drove me crazy to have to try and wait for the next book. And if they were super popular, then they were always checked out from the library, and it drove me crazy, and I didn't really buy books as a kid. So I couldn't handle waiting for the next book. I like to be able to like basically just check the whole series out at a time, because I read pretty fast and I read a lot. And so all of the series that were really popular when I was in middle school and elementary school, I never read. Fablehaven's one of them. I never read, I got through the first book of Ranger's Apprentice. I never read Harry Potter. I never read Percy Jackson. I never read Spiderwick, which is one that I need to go and read because I love that author who also wrote Wondla. But the list goes on and on. There are a lot of book series that I missed because I just simply couldn't handle waiting for the next book from the library, and so I just gave up on reading the whole series in general. But Fablehaven is one that my husband really likes, and so he suggested that I get this one and try and actually give Fablehaven a shot. That is all 19 books that I have bought recently. It's a lot for me. It may not seem a lot compared to some of the hauls that I see people doing on YouTube, but it's quite a lot for me. We will see how long it takes me to get through reading all of these books. Alright, so I switch up cameras because my memory card filled up, so I just grabbed my other camera that has a memory card with space on it rather than try and reset everything up. But thank you for watching. That is all 19 books that I have accumulated over the last little bit. If you have read any of these and have thoughts, I would love to know them to prep me on which ones I should read. Now I've got to go get this whole stack of books on my bookshelves. We are quickly running out of room on the bookshelves. We even bought a new bookshelf not that long ago, and it is rapidly filling up. But I have my reading cut out for me for the next little bit, plus some other books that I still have on my shelf to read. But thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, leave a comment, let me know, and I will hopefully see you in the next one. Bye!